Hello everyone. So I know I haven't done a video in a while. I've been away for about a month or so, and not like away. I've actually been working, kind of full on working, because of the crazy place the industry is in at the moment with the strikes and the knock on effect and not enough stuff getting commissioned. And I know that seems like, maybe a reason why you shouldn't be working, but it's really, really hard to find stuff. So then whenever anything does come along, I say yes to it because I don't know if the next month I'm going to have anything, which resulted in me doing 2 or 3 things for a duration of about 1 or 2 months all at the same time. So crazy busy. But now that I've got about a couple of hours to myself, I figured I would drag my incredibly tired brain and try and muster together a video based on a comment that somebody made on Instagram, where I had posted a photo of this baby, my Stream Deck, and a number of people had asked me what it was, how it works, and what I use it for. I've already got a video about it on Patreon and for the YouTube members, but it's one of my older videos. It's pretty slow, so even for those members I thought I'd do a bit of an updated one, just a quick overview, and then I'll do another deeper dive to it over for those guys as well. So essentially what this is it's just a whole bunch of buttons that I can program to do whatever I want. Each of these little buttons is also a very small LED screen. I can have it display just about anything I want. I can have it trigger different actions like macro scripts, or to open different apps for me, or switch apps, or anything from as simple as reading out my CPU usage all the way through to executing very complex macros. But to be honest, it's really something that's a lot easier to show than to verbally explain. So let's do that. So here are all my keys here on my standard homepage. I can interact with them, I can go into folders, I can touch stuff, do different things. Now, I'm showing you like this just so you get an idea of what it's like to look at them and, have a look around. But for the purposes of doing a screen record and this video and making all this a lot easier to see, we will use the user interface on the app. So essentially this is mirroring whatever's down here on the Stream Deck. So if I zoom out so you can see both, you can see that as I navigate around, it's also changing up there as well. So you're not missing out on anything other than seeing exactly what I'm touching by us doing the screen record up there. So let's jump to that. Right, now this is my home screen, so my sort of centralized, my first profile, which is what Stream Deck's divided into. They call it different profiles, different organizational areas, and then I can create different pages within the profiles. I could add a page here, and then I can cycle between them like that. And this is one I just have as sort of my central command. So this is my default layout that I'm always looking at. I've got a bunch of widgets like my CPU readout. I've got the date and time. I've got a button here which will quit all of my apps and then shut down my computer. So usually when I'm finished at the end of the day, I just hit that. Controlling the brightness, the Stream Deck, application switching, timer, different things like that. Things that I find useful to have at a glance as I'm working. I'm not going to go through all of my Stream Deck profiles, but we're going to take a look at this one and my Avid one, which is over here. But let's back up a second to give you more of an intro to Stream Deck before we go any further. So this is the Stream Deck interface, the application that you'll have on your computer. It is more or less the same on Windows and Mac. In fact, it's exactly the same. And each of these keys can be customized with all of the different controls over here on the right. And these controls are made up of built-in apps, built-in plugins to control different things like audio devices, YouTube, calendars, Apple Music, different stuff like that. Heck, you can even play a game of whack-a-mole if you really want to. Right. My record is 12 within the time limit. See if I can beat it. 8. Okay, that was a really poor performance. And you just drag a key on that does any given function, like moving between a page, creating a folder, different actions. I want a play pause button here. I can add a play pause button. And once you've dragged a button on, you have your options down here to configure it. Now that was just a play pause button, so there's not really a lot to configure there. But if I hit it on the Stream Deck, is probably going to open my Apple Music, play the last thing I was playing, which just so happens to be the soundtrack to Anthem, the video game, and you can see it brings up the artwork on the key there, which is displaying on the Stream Deck as well. I know the game wasn't great, but I liked the soundtrack, so don't judge me. Now we can search for any particular function that we like. You know, as you can see here, I've got a whole lot of plugins and different things downloaded here. If I wanted a mute button, I can find a mute button here, mute all my audio devices. If I wanted to control my Finder tags and my Mac, I can do that. And as well as, you know, the app coming with a whole bunch of these different functions and plugins, there is also a little store which you can access here, which apparently is going away soon. It's getting migrated to a new marketplace, but it's going to be the same kind of idea. And on this store, we can download all kinds of plugins for all kinds of different things that have been made. It's pretty much open source. It's been made by all kinds of different people. So if you happen to have forgotten your dice and you're at your computer playing a board game, you can, you know, do a roll on your Stream Deck if you really need to. And these are broken down into different categories, everything from finance to developer tools to music, monitoring, all kinds of different stuff. It's very, very useful. And we've also got stores here for icons that we can download. We can download icon packs. You don't have to do it through here, by the way. You can use your own pictures and icons from externally. I did as well. I've actually downloaded multiple packs of external icons for, say, all of the icons for the Avid keys, as well as, you know, Resolve and a couple of other ones. I'll have links to where I bought those and downloaded those down below. This whole video is just basically free advertising for a few different companies, but I love the product, so happy to do it. As well as, you know, sound effects that you can add to your keys and music and different things like that. So to recap, there is the Stream Deck store here where you can download icons, plugins, music, sound effects, anything that you need to build all these different keys that can do just about whatever you want it to do. But of course, if you don't want to use that, you can just download them from wherever you like and customize it yourself. All the options. And for even more customization, the Stream Deck can come in various different hardware configurations. These other hardware configurations include the customizable mobile app, which I believe you can get a good taste of for free on the App Store. There's a Stream Deck pedal that you can use underneath your desk if you just want one customizable button. There's Stream Deck Mini, which only has about 6 keys if you don't need many. There is the Stream Deck Plus, which is relatively new, which also has dials and a slider, as well as the Stream Deck Mark II, so sort of an improved version of the original, which has 15 of the customizable buttons that you can see here. Me being me and running lots and lots of macro scripts and wanting as much expandable customization as possible, I opted for the one with the most buttons. Now, in terms of the outside, as I said before, the Stream Deck XL that I've got here is 32 keys. Outside of that, there's not a lot to mention about the hardware. Each button itself is an LED screen. You can lay it down flat like this to have it typed. It's got slightly angled up like a keyboard is, but it also comes with a little magnetic stand that it just magnetically clips onto. And it has a little port in here, or you can just go in through either of the sides to plug in the USB-C cable into there, which is all it really requires for both data and power. Just a single USB-C cable. I believe it comes in the box with a C to A, or at least it did when I bought it. It might just be USB-C now since it's more common. But either way, it's a simple enough cable to get. But yeah, it doesn't take up too much space on your desk. And yeah, this little stand that comes with it is pretty great. Mine actually needs a bit of a dusting, but it's got a non-slip rubber bottom. And as I showed before, nice magnetic clip. As for how I use those buttons on my Stream Deck, let's take a look. So I've already demonstrated a few of these and, you know, talked through some at the start, but I'll quickly run through the others that are here on the home screen before we move on to the Avid. So I have my mic mute here, which is really useful on video calls to just quickly be able. I have the whack-a-mole, like we said, and the CPU reader. I have this button here, which allows me to toggle my audio out device, so whether my sound is going primarily out into my headphones or it's going out to speakers. I can control here the brightness of my keys. This is a clock in and clock out button that I have. Clock in essentially launches all of the apps to do with, you know, that I most commonly use for work. And clock out will close them all. And just those specific apps, and leave anything else running. How many unread emails I've got any given time. I need to catch up on that. Apparently there's 65. Apps, I can tap these to open any of these apps. I have links. I've been meaning to fill this out so I can quickly jump, like put bookmarked links here. Haven't got around to it, as you can see. Finder tags. So I like to be able to use Finder tags to categorize stuff, particularly my Avid media files in the MXF folder. So like, as you can see here, I have different projects like this, and I can just select the Avid media files folder and hit a button, and they get a tag to a specific project. That way I don't have to rename the folders. They can stay numbered, and Avid continue to scan them as need be, but I can tell exactly what project any given MXF folder is associated to. These buttons here are for launching Keyboard Maestro scripts. So I like to build all of my scripts, whether they're simple or complex, and Keyboard Maestro. I already have a video doing a deep dive into this on here on YouTube. It's one of my older videos, so it might not be the slickest, and it does go into it for a while, but there is chapter markers, and if you want to skip ahead, so that's there. And this allows me to massively increase the functionality of any given app, particularly Avid Media Composer. So I can hit one key and I can have a timeline export to multiple different formats. I can, get it to repeat a bunch of actions, do something very specific that the app doesn't have a button for, essentially. So I've built all kinds of macros. They're in different categories here. And I have a plugin for the Stream Deck called KM Link, which allows me to drop this button on any, button on the Stream Deck, and then just select any one of my macros. And then hitting that button will run the macro. So I don't have to map it to a hotkey or any other trigger. This is synced into my Keyboard Maestro library, and it's a very, very fast way for me to launch my scripts. It's awesome. And speaking of scripts and macros, this actually brings me to one of the most useful points about the Stream Deck for me personally, which is the ability to make simple scripts and macros within the Stream Deck UI. So while I prefer to use the Keyboard Maestro GUI in order to make my scripts a bit more powerful, can do a bit more things, for when I'm going into a facility, they're not necessarily always going to be on a Mac. And, depending on the facility that I'm at, and even if they are, they may not, want me to run the Keyboard Maestro engine on their Mac, but I still don't want to be, cutting without all my handy dandy macros. So I'll just do that here using the multi-action command. Let me show you. So I can just drag and drop multi-action from over here on the right and drop it down. Once you drop it down, you immediately go into the key to start customizing it. So that's the default icon there. Don't worry, we can change that. We'll look into that in a minute. But I'll go back into it now and let me show you how we can customize it. So once we go inside, all of the available keys and buttons over on the right change slightly. And everything that's here now is what we can drag and drop into our multi-action. And multi-action just means, a chain of actions that once we hit the button, it's going to do all these things in the order that we put here. So, for example, I have a script here in Keyboard Maestro, which I use for opening up the subcap of a VFX shot number, copying the data there, coming back out of subcap, adding in a marker, and pasting the name into the marker. So I've got a marker on the VFX shot as well as just the subcap, because that's particularly useful because then I can search by the markers and just jump to the specific shot. So because this is all just keystrokes, I can very easily put this together in Stream Deck as well if I wanted. To do that, I'm just going to come over here and drag a hotkey and just assign a key to that. So it's going to be 4, which is my key to open the effect editor. And then I'll just do the same to build the rest of the script, since it's all hotkeys. There we go, nice and easy. So once I hit this key, it's going to go 4, open the effect editor, Command A to select all, Command C to copy, Command W to close the effect editor, F to add a marker, Command V to paste the data into the marker, and then numpad enter to close the markers window. So building my more simple but incredibly useful Avid macros and scripts in here, allows me to bring them into facilities whether they're on Windows or PC, which has been really, really amazing for me since before I had the Stream Deck. I had to use AutoHotkey, which was the application I'd use for scripting on Windows, and it's not nearly as user-friendly as Keyboard Maestro is. It's kind of more coding almost. So thank you, Elgato. This has just really been amazing and great for editors. Now, one last thing before we move on here, I want to talk to you about the icons. So whenever you add a function from the left, it'll be assigned a default icon based on what that function is. So switch profile will look like that. You can see multi-action looks like this. Create folder looks like a little folder. There is a default icon for everything, but a number of these are custom for me. So this is a bunch of YouTube links, the Avid icon, obviously, this power switch. These are custom icons that I have downloaded. There are a whole bunch of different sites that sell these. I'm going to get into that a bit more later when I show you the Avid profile, which is pretty much all from a custom icon pack, so it all looks neat and tidy and matches. But there is also options down here to use icons from the Stream Deck icon library, which is a bunch of icons that are here by default. So we get a number of different icons here that are already here from Elgato. There's 209 of them. So if any of these represent your function that you're trying to do, you can use those. We can also download additional icon packs into the Stream Deck UI. And there is even the option here to go create new icon, which takes us to this online page where you can customize your own icon. You can add text, background, shapes, whatever you like. I do find it to be a little bit cumbersome. I would rather use Affinity myself, a counterpart to Photoshop, or an app like that. I'd find would be a bit faster and a bit easier. And exporting it in about 250 by 250 pixels, which should do nicely. And of course, once you have got your icon sorted there, you can also assign a little title to the particular key. So if the image itself isn't fully selling exactly what the button does, you can type, say, power. And now that's added there. You just see a little title. We can customize the text of that there, whether it's in the middle, top, bottom, different fonts, sizes, underlined, color. Plenty of options there. So you can see you've got lots and lots of options of how your icon of each individual button looks. The options are really endless. But I think that pretty much covers us for the home profile. I think you get the idea of what's going on here. It's a bunch of fun little widgets, readouts, and quick access information. But these buttons along the left here are to jump to different profiles. So let's take a look at my Avid one. But before I do that, I'm going to open up Avid so that maybe we can demonstrate a couple of these in action. So let me use the Stream Deck, go to the apps folder and hit the Avid button. And it's launching. See? So here we are. You can see I've got Avid launched in the background here. But before I demonstrate some of my Avid keys within Avid Media Composer, let's take a look at my Avid profile. And I'll show you some functions that I deemed important enough to map to my Stream Deck. So I've probably spent the most time developing this profile than anything else in the Stream Deck. It's what I use the most, and I have it set to automatically switch to this profile as soon as Avid is launched, so you don't even really have to hit the button. But I did map a button to it so that I can jump back to my home profile and back to this one, as I'm working. But taking a look around here, you'll notice that most of these are functions within Avid. So these are quick buttons to toggle on and off or to do specific requirements, things that could be mapped to keys within Avid, and essentially they are. But I've maybe got them mapped to like Shift F13, or let's see, this one's Shift F12, and this one's Shift F2. I've just got literally every mappable key in Avid mapped to a function. And then any one that I don't have muscle memory for, I'll map it to this, and then I can see it on the Stream Deck and just hit it. So I actually don't keep any kind of memory as to what key it's mapped to. I just know I've got access to this. So I've got a tab function here to cycle through the different panels that are available, like the timeline, the composer, the bins, remove effects, toggling on and off the waveforms, adding and reading timeline clip notes, cycling picture and sound. I quite like this one. So I can toggle on and off just the audio tracks or just the video tracks or everything or nothing. So cycling through that, we'll go through those options, which is really quick for doing deliveries when you need to just grab the video or just grab the sound, or when you're doing VFX turnovers and you just want to delete all the sound because you don't need it. It's really great tool. I can switch between bin views, between frame view and text view. I don't ever really use script view personally. I could toggle between which trim mode is enabled. So you can see here, I can toggle between having nothing, just the red trim, yellow trim, both of them on. And I've got the same one for the segment tool there. That's another really good one that I use all the time. Link selection on, transition manipulation. Also, if you're not familiar with some of these keys, I've done highlights of them under the YouTube Shorts playlist a number of times. For example, like transition manipulation. I'm sure there's a video on that. I can toggle between all my workspaces just by hitting these. I can enable and disable hardware. So that's like my Avid output going to my Blackmagic breakout box that goes to my third monitor. Slipping audio, sync lock of all tracks, rendering at position, bringing up the markers, list tool, also very good. Sequence map, love it, great new addition. Yes, I have an Avid titler button. No, I rarely use it. I think I put it there when I was initially building this profile. I don't particularly ever use it. I did try to give Titler Plus a fair go. I really did, and I highlighted a lot of its good merits in one of the videos on the channel that's still there. And I have more pages of these. You can actually see down here, the UI gives a little readout of how many pages are on any given profile. I've got 3 pages for all my Avid keys. So this next one, lots of stuff like, locking and unlocking selected tracks, relink, decompose, a whole bunch of frame controls, bringing up the tracking window, media tool, consolidate, muting and unmuting clips. And then my third page is still being constructed. So more VFX tools pasted, stepping in, stepping out, markers. This one's primarily VFX controls. But you get the general idea. I don't think anybody wants to listen to me go through every single key. But I will back up and explain what these ones are here. You may notice that these look a bit different. They've just got the Avid logo and one word. These are what I mentioned before. These are triggering Keyboard Maestro scripts. And these are scripts that are specific to Avid. So I keep a space on my second page here for 4 of them that I am using a lot on any given job. So at the moment I'm doing VFX editing on a job and cutting on another one. And the VFX editing one is one that demands a lot of scripts because there's a lot of work to be done. And I find scripting not only makes it a lot faster and more efficient, it also removes the element for human error. It removes, the possibility of human error because the macro will do it exactly the same way every time. So whether it's finding a clip of a prepared VFX plate and naming it correctly what it should be, updating VFX IDs, transferring the VFX ID from a subcap into a marker, marking the space that's on V1 on V9, which is where I normally put my markers. These are all really common scripts that I'm using a lot, almost every day, or pretty much whenever I'm doing turnovers at the moment. So I've nestled them in here among all of my Avid keys. Even though you'll have noticed on the first page, I have a folder called scripts, and that's where I normally put my scripts. So in there I've got ones to, add 8 handles at either end of a clip. This one will remove 8 frames at either end of the clip. This will lay in a visual effects shot. This will lay in a version 0 at exactly the right frame and map it. I have a whole bunch of different scripts there for different purposes. But generally they're nestled in there. But if there's ones I'm going to be going to a lot while I'm doing Avid stuff, I'll keep them there. Oh, and regarding the icons, since I did say earlier, we'd get back to that. All of the icons of clips here, other than the scripting ones, you'll notice are custom-made images for specific Avid functions. And I did not go through the time to make all of these images and all of these icons. I purchased this as a pack from an awesome website called SideshowFX. And this is them here. So they make a whole bunch of icons, not just for Stream Deck, but for similar hardware devices like loop decks. and they make packs for a whole bunch of different apps. So for Affinity, After Effects, DaVinci Resolve. As you can see, there's a whole bunch of applications that they have packs for. And when you download these packs, you will get all of the icons, which pretty much cover just about every mappable function within that application, as well as a default profile, which you can just use. So for example, just to show you real quick, I have one of those for Final Cut. So this is my default layout for Final Cut as, purchased from SideshowFX. And I have all of the different functions under a whole bunch of different submenus for pretty much anything I could ever want to do within Final Cut. I've actually found this a really good way of discovering additional functions that I didn't know were there within apps. They're really, really awesome. They're not too expensive, and they give you really brilliant icons that make setting up your Stream Deck look much more professional. Because while you can go into Photoshop and build an icon yourself, that can be a bit of work to do, especially if you're mapping 30, 40, 50, 60 keys for any given application. And there is the Stream Deck icon library as well, which has a whole bunch of sort of default icons, but they won't cover most instances. But if it's for editing or for anything in post-production or film or for a video game or for any other function that you want to do on your computer, you're probably going to want something a bit more custom that's reflecting what the keys actually map to do. And if that's the case, I cannot recommend these guys enough. SideshowFX. They have just the best icons, very nice and clear, and they have presets, built-in layouts for Stream Deck, Stream Deck Plus, Loop Deck for different hardware devices, for a whole bunch of different apps, as you can see. So it doesn't matter what you're using. They'll have a preset pack for that, and that you can just download, put into your Stream Deck, and hunky-dory. And they've also got a couple of free ones, like the one for Zoom shortcuts for video calls, which is really great, really, really useful. Microsoft Outlook, as well as some fun little animated wallpapers, like a little HUD here, or, you can just watch a Pac-Man game going on, Space Invaders, the OBS logo moving around. There's a lot of fun stuff. Now, if you do go this route and get your icons from somewhere like SideshowFX, then this is what you'll get. You have Stream Deck profiles that you can download directly in. They'll give you profiles for the different sizes of Stream Deck. When I downloaded this, it was only the regular Stream Deck and the XL that were available at the time, but there's more now, and I could re-download those and get the other ones if I liked. And if you wanted one of those preset layouts that we talked about, but if you want to do what I do and just custom make the buttons that you need and want, I just go into the icons. You can see they'll give us all of the icons labeled and unlabeled. So unlabeled will just be the icon itself, whereas labeled will have a little description of what it is. I like having both, especially with the custom icon designs that, it's always formatted quite nice. The text isn't overpowering the image, and vice versa. So I'll just jump into labeled black, and then at any given time, just search in that folder for what I'm looking for. So if I'm looking for splice segment mode, there it is. Export to file. So there you go. Media tool, and so on. They're all named for the different function that they are within Avid, so you can quickly find them through a search in the folder. And then to change the icon of any of your buttons here, I'll do a new one here. I'll just drag any key on. Just come down here. Once you've selected the button, you just need to drag and drop the image onto here. So I'll go here. I'm going to drag the media tool image on top of there, and then you can see it's changed to media tool. Simple as that. That's all you need to do to add in an icon and have it take over that particular button. So it's nice and simple. It's really, really, really great. But anyway, I think that's me rambled on enough about Stream Deck. I can both say thank you to Elgato for this awesome device. It's like the assistant for the Avid assistant. And also, you're welcome for all of the free advertising this video is going to do to however many people decide to watch it. If you have any questions about Stream Deck, how I use it, how to set it up, how to get set up, or how to configure it to do what you need it to do, leave me a comment and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video. I'm not going to have the text at the end saying weekly or next week, because to be honest, I'll just get to it when I can. It's pretty hectic at the moment. Either way, until then, see you later.